Hey, what's going on YouTube? In today's video, I wanted to highlight a use case on automating some scraping from YouTube. In this case, we're going to go ahead and scrape YouTube, several channels to get some insights about that channel. It's pretty much going to look at the last 6 months, find the top performing videos, and then print out the list. So just to kind of walk you through it, what it's going to look like, and then I'll kind of go step by step on how you could do it yourself. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So here on n8n, if you're not familiar with it, definitely check out some of my other videos when we get this set up and some of my other automations. But in this video, like I said, we're going to go ahead and scrape YouTube, and then we're going to pass it through OpenAI, and then we're going to split it out. So in this first step, we're going to go ahead and install some various dependencies that is required by that script. This is not necessary every time because the dependencies will be installed, but it's there as a prerequisite before it could go on and run that actual script. We'll talk about the script in a minute, but this is running in that virtual environment that is set up in the first command here. And then it's going to go ahead and install those using pip. It's going to go ahead and install those dependencies, and then using that virtual environment, we're going to go ahead and execute this youtube-scrape.py, which is the Python script that I had developed that will go ahead and reach out to YouTube, and it will scrape various videos using the YouTube API. And then after it does that, it will pass that information through to OpenAI. We'll get some various, we kind of created a little prompt here saying pretty much provide us analysis of the YouTube channels and videos over the last 6 months, and just give us, some output about it. And then in the end, I say return only a JSON array of strings with no additional explanation or text. And what we do at the last node is we split it out into each individual items. There's more things that we're going to do with it later on, but for the time being, this is perfect. So now, as you can see from the channels that I had put in there, there's about 21 different items, and all of those being different ideas that I had came up with depending on the performance of other videos that we had passed through the API. So in this case, explore the new features of Pi-hole v6, remote management, home labs, a guide to Cloudflare, how to choose the best automation devices. Let's see what other ones we got on here. Creating a fully functional Unify home lab, a beginner's guide to building your own NAS, understanding VLAN setup, DIY home network setup for gamers. And the channels that actually passed through were not all the same topic, so I think I would probably get even better results depending on the channels that I passed through. In this case, I kind of just grabbed 5 channels that I already follow, and then just pulled in the 21 videos. So with that, we now have 21 ideas that we could kind of start playing around within our head, seeing if something that we want to get into, or whatever the case may be. So next, I just want to kind of walk through the script before we kind of go step by step on how you could actually execute it and enable this API from Google and YouTube. So here's a script. I'm not going to go over it line by line, but it is pretty straightforward. Again, I use AI a lot, and in this case, ChatGPT had helped me develop the script. There were several iterations of this, and this is the final one that I came up with. Even then, there still could be some improvements here. But at the top, we're going to go ahead and import some libraries. Date and time is going to be used to kind of break out over the 6 months. We have an API key, so when you pull down this script from the GitHub, which will be down in the description below, the only thing that you're going to have to update is going to be this Google API key. Go ahead and copy that and then paste it in here, which is what we will talk about in a couple of minutes on how you could get that Google API key, and it is all free. Channels file, this is actually also another input that will be needed from you. And all you need is a simple text file separated by comma, and in there you should just have the channel ID of the YouTube channel, and I'll show you how to do that as well. All right, and then it's gonna go down pretty straightforward here, using the it's gonna build out that function there, pass through those parameters. Here's the 6 months that I was talking about. It has a few functions, so you got a get uploads playlist function, a get videos from playlist, and then you should have a main function down here. So essentially what's going on is it's going to go ahead and read in that channels file, which was going to be this guy up here. And so it's going to read all that. It's going to assign it to the content variable. It's going to go ahead and print that out if none of them are found, or if that file is not found. So that's just some error checking there to make sure that that channels.txt file has been created. Then it's going to go ahead and split it out and strip it. It's going to create an empty list, and then it's going to iterate through each of those channels inside of channel IDs. It's going to tell you when in the prompt when it's going through it, processing channel. And then it's going to go ahead and assign this variable here based on the return from this function up here by passing through this channel ID. And that's going to be up here. And so on and so forth. It's pretty straightforward, like I said. Once it gets that, it'll go into channel videos, and then it'll actually run the get videos from playlist function, and it will pass through the uploads playlist that was just found up here. And then at that point, it will take that value that it was just returned, and it will add it to the list that was just created up here. Again, this is not all needed for you. I just like to talk about it especially anytime I pull down a script or develop a script with AI. I like to at least get as much of an understanding of what's going on. So if I need to make any modifications, and also for learning, I don't like to just take stuff down and not understanding what it is actually doing. And I suggest you do the same. But some of the stuff is obviously, could be over the top, like maybe not even needed. Like here's some, additional stuff that I might not have been able to do off the top of my head. But working with AI, this is something that I was able to come up with. But that's pretty much it. And it's going to obviously execute it down here. So that's what executes this main function. And then these are the two other functions. Pretty straightforward, just iterates through the return that comes from reaching out to that API. All right, so next we're going to go ahead and actually go step by step on how to set up the API key and the credentials that are for Google Cloud, allowing you to actually scrape YouTube, all for free and all legally. There are some libraries that are out there, Python libraries, and different Python scripts that could also do this, but I've seen that not a lot of it is currently being updated, so a lot of this stuff is not relevant and you get a lot of errors. So this is definitely the way to go, and it is quite easy. So first you're going to go to console.cloud.google.com. Go ahead, sign in, do the normal thing. Eventually you'll get to a screen, might not be the same as mine, but you'll be able to go to the top here and then click on that. Then if you have any projects, you will see them down below. Go ahead at the top right, click on new project. And then for the purpose of this video, we're just going to name it YouTube. We'll do cyberme-yt-scrape. Go ahead and click on create. All right, and now in a second that should create the project. You should get no errors there. At the top left, you'll see the project picker is set to the YouTube API test. That is not the right one, so I'm gonna go ahead and select that. And if you already have another project, you're gonna have to do the same. Here down at the bottom, and then select the project that we had just created. Go ahead and click on CyberMe YouTube Scrape or whatever you name it. Once you're in that project, there's a few things that you're going to have to do. Before we create the credential, go to the left side and click on Enabled APIs and Services. You're not going to see anything here, but if you click on the top, let me go back because I did it too fast. Click on Enable APIs and Services, and then you can literally just do a simple search for YouTube. All right, and the one that you want is the YouTube Data API v3. Click on that, and we'll just click on Enable. All right, so once that's enabled inside of that project that you had just created, you will see that you will say get an error or a message saying to use this API, you may need credentials. So the next thing that you want to do is go to the left side of the screen and click on credentials. And then all you're going to do is click up here, click on create credentials, and then click on API key. This will create an API key. And all you have to do is then copy this down. I'm going to go ahead and delete it, but for your purposes, go ahead and take this API key down, as you will need that in your script. Next, you will need the channel ID. In this case, I picked everybody's favorite, Network Chuck. All you got to do here is right click on his channel, click on inspect or view page source, and go ahead and just do a Control F for find. And then we're going to search channel _ID equals. You should get a couple of results there, and the one that you want to look for is this one right here. And you're just going to click for the value that's after that equal sign and before that quotation, and then just grab that, and we are going to create a file. It doesn't matter how you do it. This is just an example of some of the other videos that I had done. You just need a simple text file, like I said, channels.txt. and then go ahead and just specify the channel ID separated by a comma. So right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually think one of these might be an error because one doesn't look like the others. But in this case, I think I was getting 4 out of the 5 or whatever the case may be. But either way, that's what you need. So just go ahead and create that list, get as many videos as you want or as many channels as you want, and put it inside of a channels.txt file. Go back to your script, update the Google API key with the key that you had just copied down from Google API or that Google Cloud Console. This you don't have to change unless you want to change the path. Well, actually, you will have to change it. So essentially, this is going to be a relative path or a full path to wherever that channel's text file is. So I'm running it in n8n, and on that container that is being run, it is pushed into a files directory, and that's where I have my channels.txt. But wherever you were running this script, you could just put that same channels.txt file inside of that same folder, and then you could just get rid of the files. So then it'll be a relative path to channels.txt as to wherever you are executing this. That's pretty straightforward, but if you have any questions about that, drop that down in the comments and I will try to get a better explanation for you. All right, so at this point, we already have everything we need. The only other thing that we didn't talk about today is the OpenAI, and that's also pretty straightforward. I also covered it in different videos. All you really have to do, though, is go to the Playground API, OpenAI Playground, and there's plenty of instructions out there on how to create your API key. So go ahead, get an API key, and create a node, and then in that node, you'll be able to create a new credential. It's pretty straightforward. Just fill out the API key. And that's really it. Update any other information that you find is relevant. In this case, that's really it, unless you change the version down here for the OpenAI. But in this case, using the 4.0 mini, I was able to get exactly what I needed using this prompt here. And you could play around with it using any variation of this prompt. But in the end, I think this is what's useful, is to extract the potential video ideas from the text and return only a JSON array of strings with no additional explanation or text. So just to show you an example, I'm going to just upload one, and I'm going to do network chuck inside of that channels.txt file, and we should see some of these top, well, this is 6, no, this is not going to work for that, but we should see some of these that are on here over the last 6 months as far as top performing videos. So we'll go ahead and show you that now for an example. So right now I'm in a terminal inside of my server that is hosting my n8n. And in this case, I have the Docker file for that n8n has a volume that is a persistent volume that is mapped to local files. So if I list out the contents of that directory, you're going to see that I have that youtube-scrape.py and channels.txt. So inside of the n8n node, like I talked about before, that this file is here. This file is here. Is pretty much local files, but inside of the container, the running container. In this case, we have access to it, and so I had updated the channel ID for network chuck. So at this point, we should be able to go ahead and test out this script or this workflow. So it's going to go ahead and install those dependencies if it's not already installed. Now it's going to go ahead and run that script. Looks like it's good to go. Now it's reaching out to the ChatGPT model, and it's going to go ahead and try to get those videos over the last 6 months. And it looks like we have 26 items, and these were the ideas that it came up with. So if we go back to execute command here, we should be able to see some videos from network chuck. So in this case, you could even see the amount of views. So I built an AI supercomputer with 5 Max Studios. So if we go back into here, and we do a Control F to search it, we should be able to find that video somewhere in here. There's one of one, and there you go. So over, within the last 6 months, as you can see, that looks to be a pretty high performing video. I bet you if we look up here, we'll probably see another one. All right, so I bet you need to use n8n right now, which is what we are doing actually. But as you can see, you need to use n8n right now, and it has the 1.2 million views. So now if we go back to the other node, the final node, the split out node, based on all those videos, we're going to get some ideas using the 4.0 mini that we had defined earlier. So you won't see exactly his videos, right? That's the whole idea. Well, at least that was my idea, is to not, copy it exactly, but maybe to kind of get my, creative flow going, could kind of get some automation built into it to get an idea of maybe some videos that are worth doing and worth doing a tutorial about. So in this case, cost-effective alternatives to popular AI services. I think this is actually a really good video. For instance, right now, this video or this kind of workflow can be found in other tools such as vidIQ, YouTube Buddy, and a few others. Even one from Mr. Beast. And we kind of just did this whole scraping and build out using AI with little to no cost. It's free for the API, and ChatGPT has a little bit of cost to use 4.0 mini. Was it 25? I don't know, even less than that. A couple cents per API call, depending on how much tokens gets passed through. Let's see what other ones might be interesting looking into. Essential Linux commands for beginners. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, right? Everyone likes to learn about essential Linux commands. Common misconceptions about using AI tools. I think this is a good one. Top 5 free automation tools to boost your productivity. Like this, my journey transitioning to new AI applications. All of it obviously is going to be relevant. Some of this is not going to be, even worth looking at. This is a cool one if you really want to get into, that's not my type of video, but I like the idea. Maybe in the future, something I could look into doing. Signs of being hacked. Organizing and optimizing your tech workspace. Upcoming trends in IT certifications. I mean, these are a lot of big videos here. Good titles to kind of go off with, and at least to get the ball rolling. But that's going to close out today's video. I hope you were able to take something away. Today we covered the automation workflow using n8n to scrape YouTube to get ideas about videos that you could create based on the performance of other channels and their videos over the last 6 months. And how we did that is we developed a script that utilizes the Google Cloud Console API integration. And in doing so, we created a credential, used that credential inside of our youtube-scrape.py script, and that will be in the description below in our GitHub. And that will go ahead and scrape the YouTube channels that we have picked out using the channel ID. And then we pass that through the OpenAI model. In this case, we're using GPT 4.0 mini. And then at the very end, we split it out. Again, this could go even a lot further, which is something that I'm going to be doing even more. Something that I'm thinking about doing possibly is just throwing it in like Airtable, right? So we have some kind of storage, maybe something we could reference later on. So we could just keep throwing up ideas. Maybe we could do some verification to make sure that if the idea already exists, don't do it again, or whatever the case may be. I think it is a good start to kind of play around with, and I'll leave it to you guys to figure something out. If you do something creative, definitely drop a comment down below. I would like to hear about it. And as always, never stop learning.